What if a simple pair of old sneakers could turn a forgotten orphan into an NBA superstar? The movie begins in an orphanage home in California, where a young boy named Calvin Cambridge spends his days with his two best friends, Murph and Reg. Calvin loves basketball, but in truth, he's smaller than most kids and constantly underestimated. That doesn't stop him from dreaming big, but dreams don't protect him from bullies. One day, a much bigger boy named Ox confronts Calvin, mocking him for being short and challenging him to a one-on-one game. The prize? Calvin's cherished jersey. Murph and Reg plead with him not to do it, but Calvin refuses to back down. He accepts the challenge, and despite his determination, he loses badly. Ox parades Calvin's jersey around before tearing it in front of everyone, but Calvin doesn't crumble. Instead, he says one day his adoptive family will buy him more jerseys than he could ever need. He believes he's special, even if no one else sees it yet. That night, as he stares at a happy family on TV, his heart aches for the day someone might adopt him. But their harsh caretaker, Stan Biddleman, cuts the moment short and orders the kids to help him sell candy outside the Staples Center, home of the struggling Los Angeles Knights. Calvin struggles to sell a single box. Instead, he sneaks glances at the game from outside, watching his idol, star player Tracy Reynolds, miss a crucial shot that costs the Knights another loss. When the crowd leaves, Calvin bumps into the Knights coach, Wagner. They talk basketball, and Wagner is surprised at how sharp Calvin's understanding of the game is. Calvin explains he's an orphan, out selling candy he doesn't even believe will help the home. Wagner, impressed by his honesty, gifts him tickets to the next game. For the first time in a while, Calvin feels seen. The next day, couples arrive at the orphanage looking for children to adopt. Calvin hopes today will be his chance, but Ox cruelly reminds him that people only want little kids, not older boys like him. Calvin's smile fades. Sister Teresa, one of the kind-hearted staff, brings in a box of donations. Inside, Calvin discovers a pair of old sneakers with the faded initials, MJ, stitched inside. Could they really belong to Michael Jordan himself? Calvin clutches them like treasure, but Ox snatches them away and flings them over a power line. That night, Calvin sneaks out with Murph and Reg to retrieve the shoes. He climbs a tree in the pouring rain, grabbing them just as lightning strikes the line. The electric surge knocks him to the ground, and though he survives, the shoes spark with an otherworldly glow. The following day, Calvin and his friends attend the game, thanks to Wagner's tickets. At halftime, the Knights announce a promotional stunt. One lucky fan will get to face Tracy Reynolds in a one-on-one contest. Fate picks Calvin's seat. The crowd erupts in laughter and cheers as the small boy steps onto the court. Tracy expects an easy show, but when Calvin laces up his mysterious sneakers, something incredible happens. He dribbles past Tracy with lightning speed, makes impossible shots, and even dunks with the power of a pro. The stadium explodes with disbelief. Calvin himself is stunned. The shoes have given him Jordan-like skills. From that moment, Calvin becomes a sensation. The Knights' greedy manager, Frank, sees dollar signs and convinces Stan to let Calvin join the team, paying him off to sign as Calvin's guardian. Calvin enters the locker room with wide eyes, finally among the players he once idolized. At first, no one takes him seriously, especially Tracy, who feels humiliated that this kid outshined him. But when Calvin gets his chance to play in a real game, wearing those magical sneakers, he leads the Knights to a thrilling victory. Overnight, the struggling team has a new star. Suddenly, Calvin is living a dream. He's traveling with the team, signing autographs, and appearing on highlight reels. But fame comes with challenges. Stan warns him that any family interested in adopting him now only cares about his money. Worse, Stan secretly manipulates his contract to block any adoption attempts, determined to exploit Calvin for profit. On the road, Calvin is assigned as Tracy's roommate. At first, Tracy sees him as nothing but a nuisance. Calvin eats too much room service, snores loudly, and even accidentally gets Tracy in trouble with Coach Wagner. But slowly, something changes. Calvin's innocence and honesty begin to melt Tracy's icy heart. When Calvin blesses Tracy during a bedtime prayer, Tracy realizes the boy is more than just a teammate. He's someone who truly cares about him. The Knights begin to win game after game, thanks to Calvin's magical sneakers and his fearless energy. Crowds pour in, and the team climbs toward the playoffs. Yet beneath the victories, Calvin struggles with his real dream, not of basketball glory, but of finding a family to love him. One day, when couples arrive at the orphanage again, Calvin hopes for a chance, but Stan sabotages it, parading strange, unsuitable people to discourage him. Heartbroken, Calvin turns to Tracy, who comforts him and even helps him study for school. For the first time, Calvin feels what it's like to have a father figure. Murph even teases him that maybe Tracy should adopt him. Calvin laughs it off, not realizing destiny is already weaving them together. But Stan isn't done scheming. When Murph tries on Calvin's sneakers, he discovers they only work for Calvin. Stan seizes them, burns Murph's most precious photograph to force him to reveal the hiding spot, then bets against the Knights, confident Calvin will fail without his magic shoes. As the Knights prepare for their biggest game of the season, Calvin learns what Stan has done. With Murph and the other orphans, he stages a daring plan to tie Stan up and reclaim the sneakers. Even Ox, the bully, realizes Stan never cared about any of them and helps Calvin retrieve the shoes. But Stan unleashes gangsters to stop them. Calvin narrowly escapes, knocking Stan aside with a scooter and races to the arena. By the time he arrives, the Knights are losing badly. Wagner benches him for being late, but Tracy stands up for him, insisting the team needs him. Calvin enters the game and quickly brings the Knights back into contention. But disaster strikes. One of his sneakers rips apart. The magic is gone. Calvin panics, convinced he's nothing without them. Tracy kneels beside him, telling him the truth. It was never the shoes. Calvin's courage, heart, and belief made him great. With seconds left on the clock, Calvin makes one final play. He drives past defenders, but instead of forcing the shot, he passes to Tracy. His mentor rises, scores the game-winning basket, and the Knights advance to the playoffs. The crowd roars. Calvin has proven he's more than magic. He's a true player. After the game, Calvin realizes his journey with the Knights must end. He doesn't want to live as a superstar forever. He wants to be a kid, to be part of a family. The Boyds, a kind couple, come forward, ready to adopt him. But as Calvin thinks it over, something doesn't feel right. Deep inside, he knows his heart belongs elsewhere. Back at the orphanage, Calvin plays outside with Murph when Tracy arrives with life-changing news. The Knights have decided to sponsor the orphanage. And more than that, Tracy wants to adopt Calvin as his son. Overcome with joy, Calvin hugs him tightly. Then, in a moment of pure selflessness, Calvin begs Tracy to adopt Murph too. Tracy agrees, and the two boys finally find the family they had always dreamed of. Stan, meanwhile, vanishes into obscurity, exposed for his greed and betrayal. The Knights march toward glory, but Calvin has already won something far greater: a home, a father, and a future filled with love. In the end, Calvin learns that greatness isn't about magical sneakers or slam dunks. It's about courage, family, and the belief that even the smallest kid can change the world if he dares to dream. If you suddenly discovered a pair of sneakers that made you play like Michael Jordan, would you keep them secret or show the world? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And that's the incredible story of Like Mike, a tale of dreams, courage, and the family we choose. If you enjoyed this recap, smash that subscribe button, drop a comment with your favorite moment, and check out more epic movie breakdowns waiting for you on this channel.